One of the most requested use cases for data sharing has been the ability for providers to share data with their consumers and then consumers enriching or transforming that data with other information and then passing that data along downstream to other consumers. This is also called as resharing of data. And this requested feature today, the alternative of doing this is a consumer has to materialize the data and also the provider loses all control as soon as the data is shared downstream. With this launch of Zero-ETL transformation, resharing empowers a provider to have complete control of sharing data with their consumers and also has complete understanding of how the consumer reshares that data. And at the same time, they can revoke access at any time. Next slide. Very quickly, I can show you on the left side, you have provider account, how they are resharing the data to a resharer account. The resharer is able to enrich that data, which is marked in purple, and then the final consumer can see only what the resharer has shared. Next slide. And in the demo, we're going to walk through how a data platform team shares data with a client service team within their own organization, and the client service team then enriches that data based on certain entitlements and passes that data along to the customer. Okay, with that, over to the demo.
Thank you, Shobit. Let's get into the demo. As Shobit had mentioned, we have three different personas. One is the provider, who is the Acme platform team. And the second is a resharer account, who is the client service team that eventually sells the data to a consumer. And finally, here is the Y Corp, who is our consumer in this demo. Let's take a regular scenario where provider has some data, they filter out something and gives it to a resharer. Without resharing, currently they have to build their own pipeline, materialize and everything. Let's actually see what that pipeline looks like without resharing feature enabled and see what they can even do. Here is a regular listing that adds a share from a platform team. That share has a view that is attached. Let's see what this view is. As you can see, there are no objects attached to this share. Let's go ahead and attach something. Here is a stock price view that platform team has created, and we grant it. This listing, the stock ticker history, is being shared with the client service team. And as you can see, the resharing is not enabled. From resharer account, let's go ahead and see what this data looks like. Refresh the page. Here is the demo schema stock prices view inside the new database. I already have the data pulled out here. As you can see, here is some data that the customer is sharing with this account, which are about 60 rows, but they might have more than that. Like as you can see here, the provider actually has 90 rows, whereas they are creating a secure view that applies some filtering to restrict what the resharer can see. And now the resharer can use that data that they are able to see from the listing, and they can do their own enrichments. And here is an example of how they are enriching the data with another enrichment table that they own, which is in their own DB, client service DB. Here is the imported database and the view that they got from the original provider. The enriched view is something that they now want to share with YCorp without resharing. Like here is how it would look like. Let me close this, create or replace share. We have a new share that is created. We grant usage on the database and then grant usage on schema. Both of these work. But when you're granting select on the view, it fails that it is not allowed for resharing, which is what expected. In current pipeline, without resharing the feature, one cannot reshare this. They might have to build their own ETL pipelines. But as resharing feature that offers zero ETL transformation, the resharer will be able to easily create the reshare. All they have to do is ask the provider to enable resharing. The provider will go to this view and click on allowed and hit on save. The resharer can actually validate this whether they are able to reshare it or not by looking at this view. Previously, it was not allowed for resharing. After the refresh, it should show that it is allowed for resharing. Now let's go ahead and create the same, rerun the same grant select statement. Now it should pass. Now the same public client service price history can now be attached to a new listing that this resharer wants to reshare with Y Corp. I have an existing listing that they have already created, which is stock upsell data. As you can see, here is the data product that it is using, which is client service pricing history. Let's quickly query for it to see what data it contains. Okay, let's go ahead and query the table, client service DP public client service pricing history. Now, as you can see, the resharer enriched additional information on top of what was originally shared with them. And that is being attached to this listing. From resharer, the listing is now available for the consumer. In their external sharing, they can find the stock upsell listing. Let's go ahead and query for that data. I have already queried the view here to make it fast, and let's go ahead and retry the query. And here are the results. Resharer can also apply any more transformations or further restrictions in terms of what the eventual consumer can see. And as always, a provider may decide to disable resharing at any point in time if they are not comfortable or if they don't want to allow anyone to reshare. All that they have to do is go back to the provider page of the listing and change it to not allowed. Once it is done, the resharer, when they see the imported database, they cannot see that it is allowed for resharing. They will see that it is not allowed for resharing. But as they are the direct consumers, they can still query for the data. The queries to stock ticker history will still work with consumers. However, the queries from the consumers will fail because the provider disallowed for resharing, and this is the error that they would see. And that concludes the demo. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much, Anusha.